we, is it running?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Would you like to close the door then?
Yeah. Yeah,
Are you
no,
still a doctor or are you not a doctor anymore?
Yeah, I'm still a doctor.
Do you want to be referred to as doctor?
I'm not touching your appendix though.
I wouldn't want you touching my appendix with a barge pole.
Can you imagine? I was good at dissection, but the thing was already dead. I wouldn't go in alive.
Oh my God. When I did my human biology at university, the first thing I had to do was dissect a maggot
A maggot?
and extract the salivary glands of a maggot.
Stop it.
I had to put my hand in this jar of maggots.
We did rats.
I did rats afterwards.
It was so lovely.
It was so awful.
Oh, I loved it, but it was awful, but it was lovely.
It's absolutely awful.
I had a pregnant one.
And you,
I got a pregnant one.
oh my God.
Because I was so good
Yes,
at it.
yes, I've seen all those little babies in the... And do you know what? This is what we have to suffer in order to get to this position of our understanding of the human body and psyche, because we're not just exploring what happened with the rat, we're exploring what's happening in our own minds as we're pushed into doing these senseless tasks of cutting up creatures that are God's creatures.
Yeah.
And it's horrific.
It is horrific. One of the things I do remember, my friend, we were doing the pubic bone dissection, and obviously a rat's pubic bone is this teeny little thing. My friend cut the whole leg off their rat.
It's horrendous. That almost wrecked my entire degree. It's like I thought endlessly beforehand.
Traumatised you.
If I have to do this dissection stuff, I cannot do this degree.
Mm.
But I know plenty of doctors, they do all that
Mm-hmm.
endlessly, but that's not where I'm at. I'm more a student of the psyche and of the soul and of,
The experience.
yeah.
I liked it because it was like me exploring myself.
Mm.
Biology was always about me. I'm a creature from Mother Nature, so if I explore creatures, I'll find out what it is in me that's connected to that. Yeah.
Oh gosh, the camera's on. We're meant to be doing this interview. Hello.
Hello.
Everybody. So sorry, we're just like going on this little, yes.
It's not live.
Inner journey. It's not live.
Did you want it live? Can't do it on my phone if you want
I
live.
can do it live.
No, we're not doing live. We're doing a recording.
Yeah, good. I'll record.
So, we are being recorded. Okay, I want to introduce my lovely friend because when she first came, I didn't know her at all, but she has become my lovely friend. So, are you a doctor or not a doctor?
I'm Dr. Darling, yes, Dr. Marion Bevington.
Okay. So I always set out to make these really serious videos to be able to tell people about the importance of trauma healing, but
I rock up.
because we always get to, I always get to have this really close connection with people I'm working with, so it becomes very intimate.
I think that's because the trust that's needed from me to you has to be really strongly established for me to be able to go into my own trauma processing without doing my usual coping strategies. And I'm sure that's true for all of the students who use.
I think that's key to the work, and this is why this isn't an intellectual exercise. Trauma healing isn't about learning a set of information. It's about building trust, building safety, building relationships. So this concept of the relational field is really, really important in the healing process. And it's only then that you can even begin to explore the trauma, explore the territory is what I was going to say, explore the territory of like, I feel really screwed up in my life and I'm in a lot of pain, but I can't go there. But I can if finally I feel safe enough in an environment that's really, really safely held and I feel connected, and then I can begin to explore what went wrong in my life and how I can heal it.
And that feeling of safety is such an unusual thing for most of us. We've never actually had it and been able to draw our awareness to having had it. So we just don't know what it's like to be there. So we've never been allowed to take the armouring off to reveal what's actually going on.
Yeah,
Because life insists we just carry on, get up, pull your socks up, whatever. Life pushes us to just...
and we're so behind this mask, this false self that we set up. If you remember when we did the module on developmental trauma.
Oh, my favourite. My favourite.
So it rang a lot of bells.
Oh, huge, huge. The worst part about that particular module is we begin to recognise not only have we suffered at the hands of others to develop our own developmental traumas, but it's like we have to pass it on because it does become a part of our identity in such a strong way that of course we're going to pass it on. And it was a moment for me where I was quite grateful I'm not a parent, because you think, wow, you sums it up, that lovely poet, what's his name, Philip Larkin.
Oh right, yes.
So I'm quoting, so I'm allowed to do this because I'm quoting. They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They did not mean to, but they did. And then he goes on, doesn't he, and says more things. So yeah.
And then there's a pain, am I going to do that to my children?
Well, at the end, he says, my best advice to you is don't have any children yourself. That's the last line of the poem. I was like, right on. I'm with you there, Larkin.
But we do, and everyone comes with their own soul journey, and even though often into really, really challenging circumstances, we do have this capacity to heal, potential
well, when
to
you
heal.
see, even deeply in that, when you start to see that we've been given this package of developmental trauma and its patterns, it actually means we can hand it back, or not even hand it back. It's learned, so we can unlearn it. And it makes us more compassionate to others, because until you do get to that point of feeling safe and not judged, just people are observing and aware of things and not judging you for them. When you're in that place and you receive that space held for you to explore you, the next time somebody comes along with a trauma that would have previously triggered you, you go, oh wow, wow, and you can instantly compassionately connect to some other thing in them that isn't this identity that's got all these traumatic patterns.
So you can really, there's a real heart-to-heart connection and compassion, and that is another absolutely foundational part of the trauma healing is building a field of compassion. I mean, that's what we work with in the first module. We introduced that, how important compassion is, and it's probably the most difficult thing to learn, because it can take years and years before you can really feel some compassion for yourself.
Well, we get triggered so easily, don't we? The triggers are, it's Pavlov's dogs, isn't it? Ring the bell, the saliva's coming.
Beat yourself up, give yourself a hard time. But how can you stop giving yourself a hard time?
You've done it every day, your whole life.
Yeah, how can you feel compassion for yourself? How can you feel enough spaciousness around your pain to be able to really support yourself?
I was such a warrior until I really went deeply into the work that you've helped to guide me into even more profoundly. I was such a warrior. My armour is amazing. It's confident, it's strong, and I'm tall, and I've got a strong body, and I've got a strong voice, and I've got really strong opinions about certain things. And people see that strength and they assume it's who I am. It's what I am. And it's none of me. It's all there to protect me. But even I believed it was my identity. And that's another module that we do, isn't it? The pride-based behaviours. I clung on to my ability to stand up and go, you beeps, and swear at people, and just feel quite justified to hold my victim position, but with my strong armour on it, and blame. I was brilliant at that. Never recognising just how trapped I am in the victim of whatever that is that I'm pointing at. And now being able to see, wow, my poor victim has got this warrior, massive, armouring, confident and funny and clever and all of the great things that I love about being me and I've identified as me. And they're all tools I've had to develop to protect. I call her my little inner jelly baby that's just going, what the hell's going on?
So, but what is key in having that understanding, because people don't get that trauma healing is about working with the body, working physically, and we're describing kind of psychological processes, but that's really having awareness to what's happening in the body. So a big part of the training is the somatic work.
Yes.
It's like when you're putting on your armour, how do you know that you're in that armour? What's actually physically happening in your body in this moment in time?
Yeah. And mostly for me, that is, I'm not there. I'm not in my body. Well,
No.
what are you doing? I don't know. I don't even realise I'm sat down. I've got no idea I've got feet on the end of these legs. Everything's here.
Yeah.
All my attention, all of my consciousness is caught in this space here. This thing here. And so there's no awareness back. So yeah, to draw our awareness back in that's a huge step, isn't it, as well? And again, without feeling not judged, without feeling safe, the thoughts and the mind energy just going to keep drawing. It's going to keep drawing our energy, and there's nothing. It's like just even. It's not even quite skin level. I think it's slightly outside my skin. Even I feel where my attention lives 99% of the time. Even now, after all this.
So how was it for you when you started doing the somatic work and you had to start?
Really difficult. My mouth kept wanting to tell stories about why I was doing what, justify. I just wanted to keep justifying what I'd always done. And that, just settle that justification down, even the inner justification, and go, well, actually, if I do feel now, I can feel my back actually feels a bit cold and my shoulders feel a bit hunched. And I'm quite fortunate because I've trained as a yoga teacher and yoga therapist, so I have an awareness of the body. But when it comes back to me being, in tune with myself, and I'm in a state, I am absolutely in no tune with myself at all. So it is so difficult to go, okay, tune in, now tune in to me. No, and the stories just keep popping up, the mind's really loud, it's really clever, thoughts keep coming, the bad guy keeps showing up. Me, the poor victim, I'm going to stand up for myself, and that's not where my power lies, actually. It appeared that that's how it was, but that's not how it is at all.
So when you begin to notice what's in your body, then you have the mechanism to change the storyline. You have the mechanism to change what's happening.
Yeah.
Because you have access.
I felt like I'd lost all my power, actually, because to go, this is going on inside, it's like, well, what bloody use is that to me in this life? You couldn't live like that. This is power. So it was almost, I had to give up all of my power to...
It's a real paradigm shift.
Stay with self,
Stay with the process,
Yeah.
and to know that you could then, from that point, begin to regulate your nervous system. You could begin to lower the adrenaline, or
just witness it.
Move out of the freeze.
Just to begin to even just to allow it to be witnessed. It's really huge. Not to even know what to do next. What do you do when you get there? I don't know. I can just about reach it, but I don't know what to do when I get there.
Yeah.
And that beautiful first few weeks or times we spent together where you do that pendulation. So if you just touch the edge of that and then you come back and just touch, that's a really nice space, because in that I don't feel like I'm being told off for keep coming up with the story, because there's a bit of me that goes, oh, shut up with your story. And I apologise to any of my clients, because I often feel that's the level of communication sometimes. But it is about, the story is not where the energy is. The energy is actually in my body, my physical or my sensory feelings, my somatic awareness, my body awareness. That's where the real information is. That's the juice, that's the gold.
That's the
not
information.
This is great information.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
No.
It's got nothing to do with me, actually. It's all stories and impressions and externalized things, not me. So yeah, that's that. Just to be able to come back and go, oh, I can just touch the edge, and then I can go back out, and I can come back in. Yeah, still there. I can come out.
Yeah.
So it's permission. I can give myself permission, and everybody in the room waits, and it doesn't matter if you do it wrong, and nobody's judging what you're doing, and there isn't actually a wrong way to do it. And all of those ingredients over the first few meetings really build up this sense of, I can actually just sit here and go, I fucking hate this class today. I'm feeling really, look, I can't even unfold my arms. I've dug my own nails in my upper arm, and I hate this. But actually, I've never been able to stay with this feeling long enough and acknowledge it's got nothing to do with what's going on out there. I actually hated feeling what was going on in my body, and so of course I'm going to flip out and go into this external reality.
Which is why we just touch in and come out of it, so
Exactly.
that it's not overwhelming.
No.
It's like, oh yes, I
Okay.
do have this feeling,
Yeah,
and it's horrible, and I
Yeah.
don't want to be there.
Yeah.
It's okay, just
Right,
take
come
a
out.
little peep,
yeah, exactly.
little peep, like a video camera.
Take a little lollipop back with you or something each
Yeah.
time, or because there's lots of ways that we can be very creative, isn't there, to indulge that little process and make it easier for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the power of the build-up, of the way that you've organised the content is amazing. And I loved that you framed it all around the compassion and the, I call them the parikarmas, you call them something else because it's Buddhist. isn't
Brahma
it?
Viharas.
Yeah, the Brahma Viharas. Just that, those, because we call them in yoga the embellishments of the mind, or the jewels. So how to use the
The
mind
divine
in a way,
abodings.
yeah. How to use the mind in
Yeah.
a way to make it spectacular and gorgeous rather than the stuff that's brought
Yeah.
us down.
So it's trying to build that state of divine abodings, trying to be able to be in that state no matter what's showing up.
Yeah.
If you can stay with compassion, or you stay with sympathetic joy or equanimity, it's like
Yeah.
whatever life is bringing you, and no matter how challenging it is, you have
Mhm.
something that you can stay with it and stay anchored in that safety.
Yeah. Yeah, and that becomes part of this little dance in the middle then between the, I don't like being here, and I'm normally out here, and it's all those lovely ingredients, those embellishments come in and fill that space in the middle.
So what actually, sorry,
Go
were
on.
you about to say something else?
I was just going to say about how the practices that you have also introduced as a follow-up to each of the theory sessions, because for those of you that are interested in coming, and it should be all of you by the way, we have the session begins with a bit of content to understand what are the biological processes, what are the psychological processes, and then it's straight into an exercise. And that's amazing because that's that inner personal exploration that goes on at a very deep level that reveals so much. And you've really helped to bring in processes that are about this is going to help to heal and soften and reveal more. So it's really specific. That I found what you've done is super specific, but it's also open enough in the field that you can't get it wrong.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was lovely that you did combine that, because that's very special.
Yeah, absolutely. Very specific, and that there's total holding and total spaciousness, because it's all about exploration, but what we're exploring is very defined.
Yeah.
It's like this step, you need to get this step and then get this step, and then
Yeah.
and this gradually totally transforms a way of being in the world and a way of relating with yourself, with your world, with other people. It's all about relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what brought you that question?
The image of eyeballs rolling around on the floor. I've got there's an inflammatory process in my body that's created this weird thing in my eyes. So now my eyes used to be very sunken and deep and small, and now they're huge, and this one especially. And that autoimmune inflammatory process put me on a journey of what the hell is going on. I've had a really healthy, strong body all my life, and suddenly I'd lived in India for 2 years, I'd studied, I'd lived like a nun, everything was super, super clean and raw and fresh and yoga and everything, and my eye nearly fell out. Like, why? So that was actually what brought me. But that journey before I arrived at your training had taken me into so many beautiful modalities, including the yoga and the yoga therapy, but all sorts of other great work, that I really saw that the traumatic part needed to be, that was such a strong thread that connected everything. That needed to be explored more deeply. And always knowing it was an inner process for me after the first little while, and stop finger pointing. It's like, okay, this is about me, this is about me, this is about me.
Yeah, so that was in 2000 and something?
17,
2017,
maybe, something like that.
And then you went on, you did that training, you went on to do
I did the year-long training with you to start with, which was 6 modules, wasn't it? And then I started the emissary, the bringers of light.
Yes, emissaries
And
of
I'm-
light.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm now part of your beautiful team of emissaries
Yes.
doing our amazing work. And it's so changed everything changes how I listen, changes how I respond, it changes what happens within me. It's created space in my own triggers. So something will happen and I'll go, oh, that's interesting. There's a bit of space here. What's actually happening in me? And then all sorts of things come to light because you've helped me to shine the light on those areas before. The consciousness there's an awareness there. So when the process begins, it's, oh, this is this, and then another little piece of the jigsaw can come in, or another piece of space can be created so that I'm out of reaction and I'm much more able to do respond and explore.
Yeah.
Rather than ring the bell, drool. I go ring the bell, oh, split second, drool. Go, oh, I've got a split second to work in here.
So we're not just given knee-jerk reactions to life, it's like things that are coming up and we have choices. I mean, that's really big to know that we've got a choice.
It's huge.
Because when we're traumatised, it's like we don't
I've always done it like that.
Yeah.
I've always done that. Yeah, I always do that. And you just think, but that means you've given up all chance of change when we say that. We've given up all chance of change. Oh, I've always done it that way.
So what would you say to people that say, oh, I'm not traumatised?
Yeah. That's always, I'm a doctor, darling. Oh dear. What do I say to people? It depends, actually. It depends. If it's somebody that I know well, I actually would laugh like that because it's like, oh dear. And I mean, within one or two sentences, you can help people go, oh, that's, oh yeah. So it's, to me, when people say that, sometimes I have to play the game of, can I share where they're at right now? Can I get into their shoes? Not into their shoes, but can I take up a similar position to them right now? And we can come back to this position together? Or do I just have to go, hang on a minute, come here? So everybody's different. I deal with it in different ways. But it's just about revealing the small pieces of our personality that really reveal trauma. Things like super independence. Or there's a connection trauma. Or control freak. Everything goes exactly to plan, it always does, and if it doesn't, I'll make it. Another developmental trauma, isn't it, about trust? And so just having these little key ingredients where it's revealed every moment of every interaction, can just go, oh, there's a little cherry, let's have a look at this. And that's where you get the, oh, wow, so that's what trauma is. Because people say, you know, I wasn't in war, I've not been raped, I've not been hit by a bus. So, no, neither have I. And we still have these really lovely clues now that you've helped me to understand, that I can go, yeah, but do you do this? Because I sense I have this pattern and I sense this pattern with you as well. Is this something we do together? Because I can reveal to you how this is a coping strategy because of a trauma. And it seemed being traumatised it's normal, we all are.
It's not normal. And we all are.
That's true.
It's like I would really love to see the state where at the time when we're not traumatised, but we have generations and generations of trauma, thousands upon thousands of years of trauma. So that is replicating itself, if you like, the trauma cycle.
It's coming around. It's a spiral.
Peter Levine says it's the thing that leads to the most suffering in the world is the recapitulation of trauma. So it's what's happened to our parents and their parents and their parents, and we're born into this environment, this collective trauma environment that we have no concept of because that's all we actually know.
Yeah, it's normal.
But it's not normal. It's not normal.
Like, I'm from an Irish family and professional Guinness drinkers, professional pub supporters. That's what my family are.
All that alcoholism and I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, and that was another tricky step on the journey, isn't it? Because when you really go deeply into your own healing, you realise that people who are relatives and traumatised in a similar way, if they're not looking deeply into their own process, the trauma's holding their social connections together. And I've had to excommunicate myself from my own family because I don't want to go and sit in a pub every day and drink Guinness all day long when you're not working really, really, really hard. You're drinking really, really, really hard. And I don't do either of those, actually. I work with joy and fun. It's never really hard. And if I do have a drink, half a glass of wine and I'm staggering, you know. It's great, cheap date. I don't like it the next day, but
No.
yeah, that disconnect from those that are still running the patterns, that's quite tricky. So it's, and again, part of this is the community that we are now in your trauma healing work, the groups that have come together and how I've met people through you. They've become a stable societal, social connection.
Yeah, this is what happens as you do your own healing, and then that ripples out, because when we heal ourselves, the way we relate to each other changes. Therefore, the other people on the other side of those relationships, they begin to change themselves.
Yeah.
Because you can't relate in that dysfunctional way anymore. So it does ripple out, the healing ripples.
Yeah, and it can go positive and it can go negative. That's the thing, isn't it? Some relationships have got stronger because of it, and some relationships have broken down because of it. And I have to not judge that either of those is worse or bad, or that's just how it is. It's part of the balancing, isn't it? The nature's balance.
So how have you brought what you've learnt and what you've changed in yourself, how have you brought that into the work that you do with people?
Well, I was misadvised. I would give everybody advice. Well, you should, blah, blah. Why don't you just... Well, if you try this and this and that. I was constant advice, which is great in certain circumstances. But if you're in a listening position or a kind of counselling or information gathering or exploring position, you can't sit there barking orders at people. It doesn't work.
No.
And so now I know that it's much easier for me to just be with whatever's... Even if I've got brilliant ideas, shut up, mind. Listen. You can't be thinking about a brilliant idea and actually really listening to what is happening in front of you or what's revealing itself to you. So that's massive for me because, I still have it. Still got all great advice for people. But I can save that for when it's appropriate, when it's needed, and when it's what the other person actually asked for.
The power, learning the power of being present and really receiving the other person, because our bodies know how to heal. So us coming in and saying, oh, well, if you do this, you're going to feel better.
And I'm denying a truth by trying to fix things, aren't I, when I'm in that role? Because it's like, well, this person sat here saying, they might be saying, I'm really desperate for ice cream. And I go, yeah, well, there's ice cream here, you should have some. Rather than say, oh, what flavour? It's like, explore what the person's need is or what the person's desire is. And then see what you can do, if you can support them or not. Rather than go, oh yes, well, just get that and eat that and off you pop. I fixed that problem now, go. If that's kind of
now
what
you've
you
had
do,
your ice cream,
off you go.
And your life is fixed. Or whatever.
I don't have to fix you now, I fixed you. So I go away feeling like a good fixer. You go away feeling like you've been fixed. But actually the real need was never explored.
No. And that brings me to the final point, I think. It's when you do a piece of healing, has it significantly changed your life? Has your life become more functionable? Are you able to relate better? Are you happier? Or have you just had a eureka moment, a big emotional catharsis or something like that, and like, oh yes, I realised that because my grandmother, whatever, it's like now I'm fixed. So it's like, what's the endurability of the work that you've done? Have you found that it's...
My life is unrecognisable, absolutely. Joyful, free. I've just come back from 6 months in Mexico. I've found a way of creating an income that means I don't really have to do very much. It just is, it's unfolding beautifully. I've got this trust in everything's always been all right. That is the reality. The trust is, so it probably will carry on being all right.
Yeah.
Everything's always worked out okay. As dark as it's got, as bad as life's been, as awful as what I've had to experience or endure has been, I've always been all right at the end of it. So why would I imagine that would change? I'm going to be all right. And that shift of trust into really recognising not the stories, not the projections, not the imagination, and not the fear and all of that stuff that will happen automatically when we're, now I understand, biologically dysregulated. Of course all of that stuff's happening. But when I can come back to me and I can just go, oh,
Yeah.
poor little me, had a mean thought. I thought meanly of somebody and I probably thought meanly of myself. And just have it just be that, the story that's
so you've
just
got a
been.
real embodied presence in the world, in your life now.
Yeah. And I've always been really popular. It was a really good coping strategy. But now I realise, even if I'm in a really bad mood and I'm being a bit foul and a bit horrible, I'm still really popular. So I don't have to be nice all the time. I don't have to be a bloody people pleaser. It doesn't matter. People really like me. And it's almost like the meaner I'm allowed to be, the more angry I'm allowed to express, or the more energy that I allow to come through, which I would have been punished for as a child. The more of that I show, the more real people see. And when I see real, I love it.
Yeah, authentic, being our authentic selves. Yeah.
So you might be horrible, I might hate the way you are, but I love that you can just be it. And not, it's me. And it's not even, I've always done it that way. No, I'm here now doing this.
Yes, and
It's now.
it's so freeing, isn't it, to finally be able to show up and be your authentic self, to just be...
I found recently my little 3-year-old, we talked this the other day, but I want to share it with you. We found a little 3-year-old part of me, you've got one, and it goes, I'm not your friend, I don't love you, don't like you. That part, she has been hated on my whole life. And she was present in an experience I had recently, and she was needed because it was an awful situation. And I needed to express to that person, I've never had such a negative experience in this situation before. This is awful, I don't like it. I don't like the identity that I'm being presented with through you right now. And it's not the person, it was the behaviour and the situation. I don't like this, I hate it, I'm not your friend. And wow, what a liberating experience for her, that little part of my psyche. She's my friend now.
Yeah.
And she can tell me, I don't like you, I'm not your friend. And I can say, thank you for being honest.
Yeah, because before you probably would have felt a lot of...
Yes,
a smack or a lot of shame that you even had those thoughts coming up.
I wasn't allowed those thoughts.
And you weren't able to protect yourself.
And then I'd be thinking, oh God, I was a bit mean to that person. And for like weeks sometimes, if I'd allowed her to express the truth of not feeling okay in that moment. So I would punish myself for weeks, months, years sometimes.
Yeah.
And now she's like, I don't like you. I'm only joking. Yeah, so it's just beautiful as these little parts of our personality. Because we are a show, aren't we? You know, we play roles. Every role has its own little identity, and we have to glue them all together. And that, to me, is what our personality is. It's all these pieces and behaviours and coping strategies, and full of our own beauty as well, but it's pieces, it's not the whole. And so we can interchange those pieces. We do interchange those pieces constantly. And to be able to, to reveal that so clearly, she came because she was like out and proud, and then it was almost as if she needed to go back before she was going to get told off or so. And I noticed it. I felt something, and I was like in that little space. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, she thinks she's going to be called naughty because she was just mean to somebody. Wow, that's the best me. And really having a conversation. I mean, if you'd have seen me, you'd have gone, wrap her up in a white coat and take her off. Properly having a conversation with this 3-year-old aspect, and it was beautiful. Yeah, it was really powerful for me.
Yeah. So parts therapy is an important way of healing trauma as well. So
yeah, because our mind does get fractured, doesn't it, when we're traumatised? There's fractures, there's pieces. So reclaim and re-love and reconnect.
Absolutely. I can never explain in any of these videos what trauma healing's about. It's like a real tapestry of experiential work based on building safety, based on building compassion, being present, being truly able to ground yourself in your body, to have somatic awareness and to be able to sit with that, even if it's uncomfortable.
And it's hard because we've learned to run away from your feelings, blame, run away from your feelings, hide, run away, drink, run away, play, run away, shop, run away, shag. Whatever it is we're going to do, we're going to run away and do it. Yeah. So to be able to sit with, just sit with.
Yeah, so it's a question of, are you ready at this point in time in your life to step into your new authentic self. And you may not be ready. Some people may be ready, but anyway, we have rambled on quite a bit.
We have, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I love you.
Oh,
It's so powerful what you've done, Juliet. And Juliet's got a load of trauma too. She brings it to the table.
I'm the most traumatised. But this is how I started it, wasn't it? So,
Same, isn't it? It's this self-healing journey that then you realise, wow, a lot of people really would like to do this too. Let's share. Yeah.
So, okay, lovely to be with you today. What other things do I need to say to finish this little...
There'll be a link somewhere around this video that introduces you to the course that I started with Juliet that everybody should do at some point, sooner rather than later. So just come and do it. Click whatever the link is, and you'll be in touch. And she's got a great team, and she's a great woman, and she'll connect with you and let you know what's best, what options you've got, and how you can make the best choice for you next step.
Thank you. Do you want to turn the camera off now?
I'll turn the camera off.
Okay. All right, bye.
That's so good.